Okay. Right. Good time of day to all of you, my chess friends. Here on the Internet Chess Club, Grandmaster Alex Yermolinsky is here. My live show, or Russian Schoolboy Live. In case you guys visiting here for the first time, I'm basically talking more about current events and trying to get more interaction going. It's one of our first attempts to establish this kind of thing here on the Internet Chess Club. And I want your help, I need your help as much as you need me. The more you ask me questions in the chat room over there, the more you would be in charge of the show, and it would help me to choose the right direction, because no, there is a plenty of recorded stuff, right? And I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna do a lot of Russian schoolboy videos, your favorite material. Of course it's gonna be there. But all the same, this is a new attempt, and that's basically an interactive show. Okay, so let me check on something here. Okay, here I am. Sorry, I kept it. I kept the welcome screen on for too long. Okay, now it should be up there. As you can see, I'm wearing a red shirt, and clearly that's in honor of our Chinese comrades, the chess players that. Well, they're double winners in team competition, Chess Olympiad and then World Team Championship. And, well, most of them are fighting now on their own turf in Danzhou. Now, I checked Google Maps because I really don't know much about geography of China. And I was impressed, that Danzhou is actually on the Hainan Island, which is off the South China Sea coast, very close to Vietnam, south from Shanghai. Supposed to be a great resort over there, and all chess players gathered around. Now, I will show you now the cross table before we move on. Yeah. Look at this. In first place, Wang Yue. Now, it seems like Wang Yue was yesterday's news, right? He is the guy who was invited by Silvio Danailov and other powers that be to play in the Grand Slam series. Do you remember what it was? A Sofia tournament, the Sofia rules, no draws, right? That kind of stuff. Topalov obviously played there. That was somewhat before Magnus Carlsen's time, I think. I mean, Magnus was already there, but I'm not sure he was number one. And I'm not sure he played. I think he played in these tournaments because there was the Bilbao event where he lost 2 in a row. I think that 4 players over there. I think it was part of the Grand Slam. But anyway, what I'm saying is that Wang Yue was young then. It was 6-7 years ago or so. And he was invited to play in those tournaments together with also then young player from Cuba, Linier Dominguez. Now, if my memory is not failing me completely, I don't think that Wang Yue was able to distinguish himself in those tournaments. He proved to be an accurate player with solid openings and good endgame technique, but he didn't win a whole lot of games and kind of failed to distinguish himself. So he kind of faded away. And of course now, I mean, if you only follow me, which is, I would be very pleased to have such devoted audience that will only go for chess news to follow me here on Internet Chess Club, then you will see that I already talked a lot about Chinese players. Well, a couple of recent Russian schoolboy videos, I talked about Wei Yi, and I'm going to talk more about him, of course, and Yi, the player who won the Capablanca Memorial. Actually, if you look at this cross table, you'll see Brusson, Lasara Brusson playing, and he's not doing very well in the tournament. No wins to his credit, 2 losses. One of the losses. Yeah, but I think he got to play in this tournament because the Chinese, they kind of reciprocated nicely to the Cuban organizers for the opportunity they gave to Wang Yi, who, if you remember, I do, won that tournament, Capablanca Memorial, in a runaway style, finished 1.5 ahead of the next guy, while scoring 4.5 out of 5 in the first leg. Yeah, but now, okay, I cannot do without it, right? I gotta show you this game, because the internet is abuzz with this game, and it's like I get personal messages from some people I haven't heard from in a very long time, and they say, Alex, have you seen that game? Have you seen the immortal game of the 16-year-old Wei Yi? Alright, let's go. I'll kind of skip through all this increments of 5 moves, right? Opening standard Shwenningen. Alright, Karpov in this position, I assume, would play 4. Oops, no, I don't plan for this. A4. No, it doesn't let me do this. Okay, I gotta start from the beginning. Sorry, I'm messing this up. Anyway, yeah, Queen E1. So I'm saying that Karpov played against Kasparov this move A4, and then he attacked with the G-pawn. Alright, it's kind of yesterday's. It's like your grandfather's news, right? It's from 1985. Yeah. So, here's what I would say, that back then, 1985, when then young Kasparov played Karpov and was wrestling the world championship title from him, Gary relied on this Shwenningen and played it with black. Now, Karpov, of course, could play both E4 and D4, but no, anyway, so it came to this situation that Karpov was trailing in the second match by 1 point going to the last game, game 24. So they did away with this unlimited thing because they couldn't finish the previous match, whatever. So, 12 to 11 in favor of Kasparov, and Karpov had to win this game, and that's the famous game 24, which Kasparov won, and he took the world championship title. Yeah. Back then, people would consider the move played by Wei Yi an old-fashioned move. Yeah, with this, white is bringing the queen to g3 and is not attacking with the g-pawn. Actually, I will mention that this is the right move order, because in this situation, if black goes for the standard thing, you know, in the Shwenningen, well, white has this queen g3, yeah, that's the whole thing. Because of the king h1 move, black doesn't have the cue to answer bishop c5, and he ends up in trouble defending this pawn, and obviously, I don't know what he can play here, but probably nothing. So, that of course is the purpose of all this, but b5, okay, nothing new there, and then I play a bunch of moves. All this has been played many times, and recently it's been some kind of revival of this line, renewed interest. Well, now the move orders are different, obviously. If you go through the opening moves of this game, you will see it started off as a Paulsen or a Kahn or whatever it is, and then ended up in this situation. But the point is that because of this interchanging kind of ability of those Sicilians, you may end up in the Shwenningen via different move orders. Like Kasparov would use the Najdorf. Okay, anyway, so what about this position? Lately, a few games. I recall a pretty win by Morozevich against Grachev in the last Russian championship. I mean, black can probably defend. All this is good. Bishop d3. Yeah, now I think black is supposed to play rook e8 in this position. Well, the thing is that if white continues with queen h3, just like we did in the game, then the black queen there in a position to support e5. And once e5 is played, then the white bishop from d3 doesn't get to hit h7. So, okay. Of course, there are some other moves. One probably have to look at e5, but I mean, I'm not going to read you the entire theory of this whole thing, you know. Well, I put some variations in the notes. You can download later companion PGN file from our website there at chessclub.com, and you can check all these variations. Yeah, rook e8. Well, the somewhat strange thing happened there. Now, queen d8 is not a new move. It had been played before, and then Wei Yi continued the way it's supposed to. Now, black obviously is dealing with e5, and then if the knight from f6 is chased away or eliminated, it's going to be mate. So this rook e8. Alright, so he plays this move. I don't really know if Bresson meant to play this move, because it just doesn't look good now, honestly, with all these things happening already on the f-file. And if he wanted to anticipate the move bishop h6, no, he probably should have waited for the bishop to come to h6. Now, according to whatever, I don't remember where I found this move, black's supposed to play knight h5, thinking of playing knight f4 and maybe even giving up a pawn in order to stop this attack. Actually, then I looked at this and this. Well, there is some consequence, right, to that rook placement. It was needed for black in different situation when he was anticipating e5. Oh, hi guys, you know, questions. I'm showing you the immortal game of the 16-year-old Chinese star Wei Yi. But the show is not going to be all about Wei Yi. That's mainly about the tournament that's being played now, and 7 rounds into the tournament, Wei Yi is not leading the tournament. He's actually in the middle of the pack. But this is the game that may outlive the significance of the tournament, and may be, I don't know, kind of like the calling card, you know, well, great accomplishment for Wei Yi. Well, many more things to come, obviously, for the young player. Anyway, so this is a side variation, but you can see that this rook is not well positioned. I mean, by rule, black should be looking to play bishop g5 and trade off this bishop, one half of the bishop pair, and then grab the f4 square. But you can see, right, that he can't. It just loses. It just loses because of this. Oh well. Yeah, so I analyzed this position a little bit. I thought maybe bishop f6, but it looks kind of artificial, I don't know, uncomfortable. Yeah, stars, but well, I also need this little red book. I'm wearing, of course, this in honor of the Chinese players. I'm sorry, you know, I know that a different country now, and I mean, my talking about Chairman Mao, they may think that it's stereotyping and all that, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm an old guy myself, hey, you know, like coming from this Soviet Union and, you know, communist Russia and whatever, you know. I hope you'll forgive me for this. I find it kind of inspiring to wear a red shirt. When is Joe Benjamin on? I don't know, guys. Well, I mean, you can check the schedule. Joe is a great friend of mine, and I know he contributes regularly into Internet Chess Club. Actually, speaking of this game, you might have seen it. You might have seen videos done by many people. I'm sure pretty much every chess website featured this game already. Now, if you're bored with this game, well, sorry about that. But the thing is, it's like an important goal scored in some kind of big-time soccer match or whatever, a knockout punch by a famous boxer. It's going to be all over the news on every channel. You can go around the dial, you know, all the time, and you see the same thing. So I'm kind of like, okay, I'm just doing my journalistic duty. Anyway, so after this, I don't know if black can equalize here. I don't think so. I think white is better, and I mean, black's main hope is to shed that pawn, right? Go knight f4 and invite bishop takes and then get some compensation or drawing chances opposite cover bishops. But maybe he will succeed, maybe not. The thing is that Bresson played rook e8, and I do have a feeling that there was some kind of confusion, because I pointed out already that the move rook e8 was the move black was supposed to play right here, instead of playing queen d8. So sometimes you try to recall a variation, a theoretical variation. Yeah, and then it's actually counterproductive, because instead of using your own head, you're just trying to recall something which you may or may not have even known very well. And then confusion like this, it's possible. Here, this move rook e8. Now, let me check the... Am I your uncle from Poland? I'm not from Poland, but... okay, but I'm glad you know that we're related. Bored with the game, huh? How strong do you think Vishwanathan Anand is? Still top 3. Okay, now I will answer this question. I will answer this question now, although we're taking a break from the game. But now with Anand. Now this is a mystery to me. Well, I will repeat that what I said before the Khanty-Mansiysk candidates tournament, so that basically like was the end of 2013. So Vishy just lost his world championship title, the first match to Carlsen, played very poorly. Then he went to play in London, and then Kramnik mentioned in his interview, he said, oh, Vishy came to me and said, I don't know, I'm playing such bad chess. Vlad, I think I'm gonna quit. Well, do you think I should even bother playing the candidates? And Kramnik, interestingly enough, he was among the players and the candidates, and he said, according to Kramnik himself, I told Vishy, no, come on, Vishy, you're a great player. It's just a phase, you'll come back strong. Please play in the candidates. Anyways, I was talking about Anand, and indeed, me and my big mouth, right? I said that Anand has no chance to win that candidates tournament. Guess what? He won it. Excuse me. So he won it, and alright. Not the first time I eat crow. Not the last time either. What happened to Anand? I guess he found himself in some kind of a comfortable situation psychologically. The burden of this world championship title kind of fell off his shoulders, and he simply started playing better chess. The thing is for Anand that in order for him to play good chess, he has to relieve this pressure. He really never thrived under pressure. He's no Kasparov, and he did admirably well, against Kramnik and Topalov in the matches. Credit goes to him, but it wasn't really Vishy's thing. And now I think he's more comfortable. Look how he plays now. He had a chance to beat Topalov in the last round with black, and doesn't even bother. First place, whatever, you guys fight for this first place. I'm happy with my result. So this is how he's doing it, and I think, that helps him a lot. Is he going to be able to do this consistently? No, he's like, 46 years old? No, this is just his Indian summer. He's enjoying it while it lasts. It's probably not going to last very long, but it's very nice for him. And is there going to be a third match between Anand and Carlsen? Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. But all the same, I felt the same way when Korchnoi qualified for the third time to play Karpov. I thought, how many more times? Yet it happened. Anyway, so go back to this game. I would rather to see a guy with the white pieces in this game, handling this. So, rook e8. Okay, there we go. Now it all starts with knight d5. Here is what I'm thinking about what happened in the game. When knight takes d5 was answered with rook takes f7. Now, there is no Sicilian player who's not aware of this. This is a typical shot. Like all those sacrifices on b5, on f5, e6, or d5. I mean, this happened in very many games. And Bruson, obviously, he's a very strong player, and he knows a lot about chess. Now, I'm thinking, why would he allow that? Well, there are two things that I could offer, two possible explanations. Obviously, when he was playing his rook e8, he didn't see this coming. Well, clearly. He made a mistake, and no. But after knight d5 in this position, what were his options? I mean, to take like this, but I mean, this position is not reliable at all, actually looks quite bad. I mean, I don't know, maybe you can play this, there are shots over there, possibilities, bishop takes g6. I mean, black's position is simply terrible. So maybe he figured, okay, I don't have anything better to do, and besides, maybe some old-time feelings like, I don't know, I can't deprive the chess world and my opponent, first of all, of his beautiful idea. Let me play it out. In old days, like this is how people felt, that's why they accepted every gambit. I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into this. Anyway, rook takes f7. Okay, this is standard. The king is flushed out, but the difficulty really begins here. Now, the black king is trying to escape to c6. And indeed, it's just one move away, right? And he's going to be in this safety of c6 and then c7. I mean, the move bishop e4 is striking looking as it is. There's actually a kind of move that is probably not super difficult to find, because you search desperately what can be done against the threat of king c6. Obviously before you sacrificed, but you have this position in your mind's eye. It may also attract you because you start looking at this possibility of winning the queen, but you quickly discard it because you realize that the opponent is going to get enough for the queen. It's rook and two bishops, and white cannot be better over there. So white's proper play, just elsewhere. So and this move. Now, well, those moves, the quiet moves, are of course appreciated. They're appreciated in chess composition, and they're appreciated even more in practical games. Now, what are quiet moves? Basically moves without checks and captures. Of course, a quiet move can contain a very big threat, such as in this case, queen f3. So you're threatening checkmate on one. Most importantly, the d5 square is cut off, and white also threatens some kind of checkmate with bishop f2 or bishop g1. So black has no time to attack and dislodge that queen. So bishop f6 had to be played. No, I mean, it's attacking the queen, but he has to do it this way while blocking the file. Okay. About this whole thing being a brilliant game. Well, obviously it is a brilliant game. Immortal, evergreen. Well, we reserve those things for games played a long time ago by Adolf Anderson. Those classics. Well, I mean, there've been a lot of games that featured similar attacks. I mean, a lot. I mean, you can probably find examples. I don't know. Well, there was this game by Rashid Nejmetdinov who defeated Pologaevsky. It can be found in the book on Nejmetdinov, the Tatar genius attacking player in the Soviet Union times. I recall a game that I was fortunate to be present when it was being played, game between Kasparov and Topalov in YKZ in '99, where the Topalov's king was driven to the back rank of white and then execute it over there. Yeah, in this position, talking about this not being a study and which only allows for one solution. Yeah, people noticed that there was this move c4. Okay, so once again, can this move be found? It's a difficult move to play. Now, it does not contain... it does contain a threat, pardon me. Queen takes g6, it's mate. And it doesn't bring any more pieces into attack, but white is out of pieces anyway. And the idea, of course, is to... If it takes... Now, this is difficult to see. I actually find this surprising when the king goes back to c6 and then it gets mated. Is it possible to spot this line? Yeah, lucky you, indeed, like this, who knows? Line 1962, good comment. Well, it's interesting, right? Indeed, if you, suppose you do this for a living, right? You broadcast and then, in your good faith, you prepared your computer the best way, I actually restarted it just before broadcasting. Yet, something like this, creeps in and then it's just gonna destroy your good name forever. How do I get any kind of recourse in this case? Oh boy. So this mate, I don't know. Well, I don't blame the young Wei Yi for not spotting it, because it's really kind of counterintuitive. You think that if the king is there, then you can do it. But indeed, c4, the computers say that c4 wins quicker. But all the same, the computers claim that queen f7 misses the win for a while. And then they get back to their senses. In fact, there is no... Now, he repeated these moves. Now, repeating the moves, what does it show? It shows that Wei Yi is doing it the practical way. He's calculating variations. He can see remote positions very well. Of course, he's a very talented player. But all the same, he's checking and rechecking his variations. Okay, old timer. No, alright. Indeed, using different account. Yeah, so Wei Yi was checking and rechecking variations. It's only natural. By the way, Kasparov said the same thing in his interview after the Topalov game. When he was asked, how could you see this whole thing 20 moves ahead? He said, I didn't. I saw the rook sacrifice was good because I was guaranteed a draw and my position was not better to begin with. So I went for it. And then I was glad, surprised, and glad at the same time to discover that I can play on and actually I have attacking chances. And this whole thing is kind of, well, it is put together, gradually. So same thing here. So I repeated the moves and then he played this move. So more of these quiet moves. Now, quiet, but containing the threat. Well, the point is not to let the king to come back, so the black king has to go the other way. There was another accurate move here. Queen d3. Now, the difficulty in calculating these variations lies in looking at bishop takes g2 all the time. Like, for example, if for whatever reason you want to play this move, opening up this d1, then I think white not gonna win this game now, because the black centralizes the queen, and it's a different situation with the queen in the middle. But queen d3 is logical, of course, but, well, impressive, right? How many quiet moves with the queen? 3 of those. And only when it came to this point, it became obvious that black simply cannot defend himself. I don't know what was played. Bishop takes g2. No, white has many threats. Say if you protect this pawn from immediate mate. There's probably a lot of different mates, but I like this one. kind of brutal threat. Queen d7. Can move up your king. This is a threat. Force him to give up this, and then you want to take this bishop and then checkmate from g5. Huh. Yeah, I don't think it's possible to save this position. Yeah, this is how mathematical proofs work. Yeah, one chips away at the thing, getting a bit at a time. No, well, it's indeed most variations you calculate like this, they end up giving you nothing. Well, particularly you start them from equal position. Now the position is equal, maybe because all forced variations give you nothing, or maybe the other way around. Maybe it's equal to begin with, and then the forced variations. But you have to do this. You have to try, because you don't know where that little ingot, that's is awaiting you. Well, so that's the difficulty, obviously, of playing chess. You have to work hard on every move. Well, before computers, no, there was this kind of theory that chess players, the top chess players, there's some kind of a genius beings, that are able to see things that are not visible for others, and they can make these combinations appear out of thin air. And particularly, 100 years ago or whatever, chess players did their part, to kind of support this belief. Because, it's just part of self-promotion. You have to do it, and to get universal recognition and all that, But I mean, now, because everybody can look at the game with the computers and everything, that, you can see that mistakes are there, and sometimes missed opportunities are there. It's impossible to see it all. Now, some players, they tend to look more at this kind of stuff, some players less. Obviously, our best player of today, Magnus Carlsen, doesn't get this kind of stuff very often, but all the same, I guarantee, if this position appeared in Magnus's game, I think he would have found rook takes f7. So it's good to see the young player doing the right things, but my point that we all know what the right thing is. We just most of us are just unable to do it, to search for it, to seek it, on every move in our own games, because we get tired, and then we get low on time. No, that's the lesson I learned from this game. All right, so let me show you the finish of the game, because after this sacrifice, the black played bishop g5. Well, there are various variations here where white could win the rook back, and I don't know if he would be winning or not, but queen takes g6 is not among them, because what you're doing with this, you're opening the g file for this counter-attack on your king. So now white is not even going to have the time to grab the loose rook on d7. So queen takes g6 would be a mistake. But somehow, when white stepped on this right path, discovered it somehow, a sacrifice and then a bunch of quiet moves with the queen, he's in the right mood not even to look at things like bishop takes g6, because queen takes g6, because the move queen takes g6, if it was the right move in this position, it would somehow spoil the whole show. The whole show was not about material, right? The show was about giving up material to have a king hunt. And fortunately for Wei Yi, not only he had a win, and he was able to find the win, it was also very pretty. So this, and now he gives this check, and now black is threatening mate of his own. And the right move, I believe, and the only move that wins the game for white is bishop e1. Now going back with your pieces. Interesting, right? I mean, white has a couple of threats, but they eventually lead to the same position. I mean, the main one actually is queen d3. So let's suppose that black does nothing, whatever. Then this is how it ends. Only on the last move white would have to play the, I don't know, the brutal, the uncove, you know, I don't know. Not elegant capture. But okay. No, Brusson resigned. No, in today's sophisticated chess, it's not so bad, you know, like if a player resigned in this position, I don't know, somewhere in the year 1890, well, he would get some grief, you know, from commentators would say, why did he resign? Well, his opponent deserved a chance to play it out to the mate on the board, get recognition for the depth of his ideas. But then again, at that time, people would announce checkmate in 5. Now nobody, or whatever, now nobody would do this because nobody bothers exactly to calculate how soon you're going to checkmate him. Well, yeah. So bishop e1, end of story. Now to take away d3, you play e4, but no, well, you block your own queen. Just like in those problems, right? Mate in 2. First move is made, and it's always quiet move, no capture, no check. And then there is a threat, and there are multiple defenses against it, but all defenses somehow discoordinate the defender's pieces, and another mate becomes possible. Just like in this case. Alright? Okay, what do I think about it? Is that something that makes me think that Wei Yi is going to be a great player? No. I always knew that he was going to be a great player. But it's nice to have a game like this because it's kind of a vehicle, you know, that the young player can use to get more recognition and maybe more invitations. And here I would like to take a step away from looking at chess positions. Oh, Turlock 77. Well, I already talked about one game. You said 20, 30 years ago. Kasparov Topalov. From YKNZ 99. You can look it up. Kasparov white, Topalov black. YKNZ 99. There were some others, probably somewhat less known. But I mean, I look at this. I mean, we look at chess differently somehow now, right? It's mainly sport, and we're just looking at this, and Wei Yi rated 27-24. And actually, in the tournament, I go back to the tournament table again. However, briefly. Oh no, I don't have it anymore because I had to kill that browser. Anyway, so he's at 50% only, Wei Yi. And he's not gaining any rating points, actually maybe losing a few. So, how soon before we see this guy playing major tournaments? I wish it happened sooner than later, because rating is not the only thing, you know, that organizers of chess tournaments should be looking at. There always this thought of promoting younger players, particularly young, super young talent like this. Magnus benefited from this, by the way. Well, Magnus started playing top-of-the-line tournaments against best players in the world, I'd say about 7 years ago. His rating was high, but I don't think he was much higher than Wei Yi. They're actually on about the same schedule. Of course, we also need to take into account the inevitable rating inflation. Invite to Wai Z in January. No, well, yeah, the white people, they... I mean, I think, if they invite them, I don't know if they're going to be influenced necessarily by this game only. Wei Yi already has done a lot of things in his young career, but it would be very nice if they did invite him. Well, all the same, the Wai Z tournament with this prestige and all that, well, doesn't quite fit into the model of modern elite tournaments. First off, it's too large, and then secondly, it has some players that are lower rated. Some of them are local talent. They always get to play there. Like Luke Van Willy, my good friend, played about 20 of those or more, and they're probably gonna play again. The only super high rated player in Holland now is Anish Giri. Obviously he will play, but they may get another one. Then there are qualifiers from the B tournament, and I don't remember who won it last year, so maybe there's... but I mean, it's an interesting tournament. You don't always need to bunch all these top-rated players together in order to produce an interesting tournament, because one thing is, it's always fun to see how the top-rated guys respond when they need to play the players that are lower-rated. How do they respond to the need to win more games? Because if they make a draw, then they lose a bunch of rating points. I mean, I noticed already that Magnus Carlsen is not doing very well in this situation, right? I mean, he lost some rating points at the Chess Olympiad, and obviously last tournament in Norway was a total disaster. Yeah, Turlock, this new Grand Tour organized, it's going to be tough for Wei Yi to get into. No, well, is that his fault? Probably not. It's the fault of the organizers. What they did is just totally extreme. Well, there always been some players, in my memory, who would be invited to any tournament. But some players, but not 9. And the tournaments were somewhat larger. I mean, the tournament had 14 players, maybe 6 of them would be like always written in. Kasparov, Kramnik, Anand, Topalov, Ivanchuk, whatever. Made sense. But now, pretty much to predetermine the field for all top tournaments this year. Norway, then Sinquefield Cup, St. Louis, and then London Classic. It was really a strange decision. I'm willing to give benefit of the doubt to people who came up with this idea. Now I mean Garry Kasparov. So he seems to be the driving force behind it. Although I don't really see exactly what he's doing yet, because the tournaments existed before he came aboard. Maybe it's just a gravy train for him, but okay. Whatever needs to be done in order to keep Garry Kasparov from fighting for democracy in Russia is good. It's good. It's worth it. We don't want him to be put in this situation when he has to go out in the streets there and to be arrested and humiliated. And then, it's good. Good for Garry, to be out of this. So if it takes organizing this kind of series of tournaments to find them employment, then so be it. Well, it's not for lack of trying on Gary's part. He did try to become FIDE president, right? Okay. No, well, he lost the election. Okay. But the whole thing... For example, one thing occurred to me today. I was thinking, they're looking for the 4th tournament, right? And talking about Indonesia somewhere. Yeah, maybe. It would be good, if a new tournament appeared. But all the same, there is the 4th major tournament in the calendar. It's been in there for 2 years already. That's the Gashimov Memorial in Shamkir, Azerbaijan. Now, you guys give me an answer. Why is that the organizers of the Grand Tour did not contact the Azerbaijani organizers and ask them if they want their tournament to become part of this grandiose, series of events? Remember who played in those Shamkir tournaments? There was always Carlsen and Nakamura and Caruana, and Kramnik played last year, and Anand. Everybody played there. What's the problem? Alright, in the meantime, I'll move on, while you're thinking about it. I'll move on because I have to show you the game that is a big reason why Wei Yi is not gaining rating points in Danzhou in that tournament. Because the man who's taken those rating points is his older comrade, Grandmaster Wang Yue. Actually, I said Yu Wang because that would be a proper way, because you know how the Chinese guys, they put their family name first and their first name second. Okay, but no, well, I'm not going to try to experiment with this, and I just go along with the way it's written. Okay, no explanations. Nobody volunteered an explanation why the Shamkir tournament, the Gashimov Memorial, is not part of the new Grand Tour series. Okay, try a little harder, guys. I really want to hear that. I already said, early in this broadcast that Wang Yue was politics. Okay, elaborate, please. What's the politics in this case? What is the politics? I know there are always politics here and there, but so I'll talk about Wang Yue, that he was supposed to be the next star, in Chinese chess, So there are generations of players, they changed them much quicker. This is already the third wave of Chinese players that I remember, and I played and compete against the first and second of them. Столичная? Well, it's actually filtered American water. It's not even tap water. I bought a filter, to get cleaner water, from my refrigerator. Столичная. Yeah. So it used to be like this. Okay, so there are some guys who played in the 1990s. They were top Chinese players then. Then they went to Europe, and I played some of them quite a few times. Su Jun, Yu Jingshuan, Peng, then came Zhang Zhang, and then these guys. Yeah. But then some of them went to become coaches, and they just stopped playing. I guess, I don't know, it seems to me, I don't know the details, but it seemed to me like it was similar like it was in the Soviet Union. So they have this chess federation or whatever they are. And these guys are like almost like employees of the chess federation. So they get sent somewhere to play, and they got their expenses covered, and to go to the tournaments in Europe, and they get the coaching help and all that. In return, they pay the percentage of their winnings. I think this is the same how it is in China. Then they have this guy Wang Hao, who's still young, by the way, but he was slighted, not taken on that Olympic team. Although he played some big tournaments, and interesting player and attacking style more than other Chinese players, but he has this kind of a talk of him as a rebel, and apparently he was not happy with the way he was treated there, and I guess this arrangements about returning some part of the money and whatever it is. There is this guy Li Chao also. He's very high rated, but he plays a lot of opens. But about Li Chao, I know that he is, or at least he was, a chess coach at Beijing University. So maybe there's a different arrangement for him or whatever. It's no secret that these days, unless you unless you're really like one of the top players, and Nakamura, Caruana, like, and then Aronian, when you get those lucrative offers, then it's real hard, to travel. I mean, I was sitting there the other day thinking, like, maybe I should go play in the US Open. And, I mean, like, come on. A trip like this, we're talking like couple of $1,000 out of my pocket, to play US Open. Sit there doing nothing all day, in this hotel, and outside it's 110 degrees in Phoenix, Arizona. Wait for the game to start at 7 p.m. I don't think it's worth $2,000. Anyway, so for the Chinese players, I think that could also be a problem. And on the other hand, no, you're supposed to gain rating, and you're supposed to get there, but I mean, there is a risk. You don't always play very well, and then you travel, you may, I don't know, you may not be 100% physically, and you may meet some players you don't know that well. And you may underperform, and losing rating points is just brutal for you. Huge setback. So I don't know. There is something not really right, in our chess kingdom. And it's not really the fault of the king, no, Carlsen. I mean, think what you want about Magnus Carlsen. I don't think he's just... I don't think he's even interested in the way things are run, So he looks through his own perspective of this, He knows that he can play and compete. He knows he plays and competes against the best, and that's his job. Sometimes, he even looks like he loses interest in this. I mean, he's been there, done that, but we can't expect him suddenly to become a Kasparov, only, like a better version without a megalomania and dictatorial whatever, that Gary is very well known for. And just go become the ambassador for chess and go around the world trying to make things right. I don't think he has the life experience to even know what is right. So basically everything is just given to, I don't know, just random people who basically out there, for their own interest. And now we have this situation that I really don't know. I mean, all due respect to MVL, Maxim Vashilograf is a very exciting player, but no, his chess has not been very impressive already for a year. Beginning with that Singfield Cup he played last year. And rating-wise, he way behind, some people, including Chinese players. So why is he there, playing this all three tournaments, one after another? I don't know. Anyway, about Wang Yue, how does this guy make a comeback? He's an old guy, right? He's 27 years old. I mean, he's as old as Nakamura. And Nakamura is like, I don't know, it's like a patriarch, in some ways, of modern chess. He's been there, 7-8 years of playing this tournament. 7 years. Okay, there is Anand and Kramnik, they go back even further, but they're dinosaurs. Okay, so we're not talking about this guy. So how does Wang Yue make a comeback? So he is rated at the start of the tournament at some 27-17. Well, Wang Yue remains true to himself. And in this key game, which was very important, it set the tournament certain direction. He chose probably the best strategy available against still young player Wei Yi. And this is how he took the game there against this Grunfeld. Wei Yi plays the Grunfeld, that's his favorite opening. Knows all the theory there that can be found. Now this move, this is not a novelty. The purpose of this move is to get a somewhat better version of the very well-known Ulf Anderson drawish endgame. Now, in the beginning, when White played this, he had some success, but that was literally like 40 years ago. And Black was doing things wrong, and then they figured out what they need to do. The bishop should not go to g7. They need to play this stuff. And this kind of totally took the sting out of what white is doing. Because once the dark square bishops are exchanged, then it's just equal. Recently, MVL, Maxim Asheva Graf, even won a game on the black side of this. So okay, everybody knows this stuff. And then the move h4. It was played against me by Jesse Cry, an American Grandmaster, 5 years ago. And I thought if I play h5, I didn't like h5. I thought we'll get some kind of a regular Grunfeld, and then he'll put his knight on g5. And I cannot put my knight on g4. And he will have the attack against f7. Okay, then I played h6. And then when he played this, I realized, you know what? If I do the same thing, now my g6 pawn is kind of soft and it doesn't look very good, this thing, you know. He makes forces this move g5. Now I have this ugly hole on f5. What if his knight somehow circles around and gets there? I will lose the pawn on h6. So anyway, some thoughts went through my head. Well, I did play h6, but anyway, it will be very similar. Bishop g7. Yeah, then I started playing this with white. I had a couple of games against young American players. And I would get to do this. But then, of course, they played knight c6. Svidler played it too. Yeah, now white is just a little bit late with his pawns going up in the center. Like e4 allows knight b4. This is a hole in your position, right? Yeah, you can't play d4. I mean, d4 somebody tried, but then of course comes bishop f5. So now you do spend 2 moves, right? Moving the pawn. All fine, dandy, but I mean, you gotta get your pieces out. And maybe white can't. So I was kind of stuck, and I was about to abandon this h4 idea. But then, this is how Wang Yue played it. So he's already happy that the bishop went to g7. So when this whole thing happens, black cannot return to the MVL plan, right? f6, c5 followed by bishop c5. Funny, you know, I never thought of this. It makes sense. Yeah, assassin 3. Can't tell if my accent is real or not. Well, you gotta do some kind of voice analysis, you know, like, I mean, I don't know, just try to figure out. You can kind of dissect it, well, figure out how it works. Anyway, so here, b6. Now, I don't really like this move. I think that reminds me what people were doing 40 years ago against Ulf Anderson. They simply didn't know what was happening. Well, there is this gap, right? Wei Yi, 16 years old, so he studies modern games, but there's really no reason for him to go back and look at this obsolete kind of stuff over there that seemingly has very little impact on modern game. Yeah, it's high percentage chess, and the good way to prepare and get better quick, and he needs to get better real quick. Problem is, once he begins to play in those tournaments we're talking about, right, the top tournaments, people will be preparing for him, and they will use special preparation, looking at all things that the young Wei Yi yet hadn't experience with, and may dig out, you know, lines like this, and there is many more of them awaiting Wei Yi. He's simply not gonna get what he is well prepared for. So that's the problem, you know. You want to accelerate your development as a chess player by studying openings like the Grunfeld, and your play is very streamlined, and you always you use your preparation, you use your knowledge there, and the resulting positions are somewhat simpler strategically, you handle them better and all that. So you make this initial jump. Hey, I get a lot of students like this. They get to become 2100, and then what? Suddenly they cannot go over the hump because the new level of opposition that they're meeting now are just more sophisticated. And they just cannot win games the way they used to. And no, they have to, sometimes they even have to unlearn certain things before they start learning on the new level. So here, I don't like this b6. I think something like knight d7. Yeah, forget about this. Bring the knight there and hit the pawn. White spent one move already on h4. If he goes h... Oh, by the way, speaking of h4, right? There's your g4 square. Isn't that useful? Very nice for black. Anyway, something like this, but... Now, bishop b5. That's good quality check. So this is how Wang Yue plays it. So he forced this move c6. And now, as Wei Yi starts pushing forward, kind of King's Indian style, there's some weakness in his position. That's the light squares over there. And he wasn't able to force that e4 pawn away. Now, what is Wang Yue playing for? In this position, he played a4. This is what he's played for. If everything is exchanged on that square, right? White's clearly better. Reason number one, the bishop controls f2, d2 if needed. No infiltration on the f-file. Rooks get traded, the white king will enter. It's another advantage, the black king is far away. All bishop endgames, they probably lost for black. Now, Wei Yi is a good enough player to realize that, and he's trying to play as tactical as possible. Found this idea of b5. It's not really a pawn sacrifice, because if white takes, then he loses a4. All the same, white should never do e takes f5, because the knight d5 comes. Black pieces, they quickly come to life. But there is one thing there about black's position that it simply cannot be resolved. This problem. I get timed out. Why is that? It's the second time it happens today. Hopefully it will come back, because it came back the last time. I don't really know what the reason is for that. I have to keep on talking, guys. Sorry if you're missing things, because this show is being recorded locally and it's going to be made into a video. So, sorry if you missed a little bit, but... yeah, the pawn goes to a6, and then
St. Jude is working to drive the overall survival rate for childhood cancer to 90% in the next decade.
Okay, once again a commercial butts in. Yeah, that's the end of Mozilla Firefox. I'm just gonna kill that thing and go Google Chrome. Okay, so a6, he pushes this pawn forward, and now the a7 pawn is the target for many endgames. Now, here is this thing, the move h5, right? Yeah, it looks like a very good move. But in fact, it's not. Looking at this tournament, and Wang Yue is just destroying this tournament. Of course, he knows all these players very well, and it probably helps him. And no, well, some luck is always a factor, but why isn't he number one player in China anymore. Why is he kind of in the shadow of the young talent? And I mean, there are also guys like Ding Liren, I should mention him, of course. So Wen Hao also should be mentioned there. They're in their early 20s still. I think the Wang Yue's problem is that he's such a great positional player that he tends to kind of rely on his positional skill, maybe a little bit too much, and just sometimes he just fails to calculate, both for himself and for the opponent. When he played this move h5, he had this great idea, obviously, to take on g6 and then mate this king. King is bad, right? Blackstone king in the endgame. And he thought h6 was a threat. But when Wei Yi took on f3, it was time for white to reconsider, because if he goes h6, let me show you this line. He does win a piece. Knight g4, great timing to control h6. But I mean, black gets pawns. Then he can play something like this, and go rook f2, make this threat. It's actually quite bad for white. I mean, alright. So, yep. Well, thankfully for Wang Yue, there was still g takes f3 possible, and keeping that position, and, well, more or less under control. I think also Wei Yi here made a mistake. He took with the pawn on h5. I would prefer this, because they need to deploy this bishop, and something. That take the pawn on f3. He probably felt he was gonna lose the pawn on c5, because the knight is far away. Anyway, rook h4 is a great move. Now, this is your positional player. I mean, Wang Yue really knows his positional play. He knew he had to put something on e4 and make sure that the e5 pawn never moves forward, and then bishop doesn't come to life. He found this move, rook h4. Very good job. Cost of a central pawn, but bishop d3. Well, it all comes together for white. When you have a potentially better king for the endgame, you need to trade some pieces, then your king can quickly enter action. The opponent's king is far away. Action is obviously going to be concentrated on the queen side. Now, white just needs to make sure that he has enough control to stop the h-pawn. I think that's just good enough here. And what to do? If you don't allow the king on c4, the king will come to e4. Now your pawn's under attack. You defend. Now this. Not only this bishop is passive, it's also a huge liability. I mean, you look for some squares to put this bishop to, but I don't know if you can find them. Possibly rook d1 followed by rook d7. If white gets to trade one pair of rooks, I think he's going to win the a7 pawn, the c4 pawn, everything. It's a tough position to defend, so rook a6. Now this is a very interesting moment here. Alright, so trading one advantage for another. Now white has passed pawns, double pawns. Actually, double pawns are pretty effective, because one of them goes forward and the other one covers your king from checks from behind. Illustration. Simple. I go forward, you try to get behind it, and maybe I play this accurate move. And now my king is just going to be between the pawns. And if your rook cannot attack the passed pawn from behind, then it's just hopeless. In some ways, it's no worse than connected passed pawns, because when you have connected passed pawns, we often push just one of them forward and the other one provides shelter for the king. that chaperones the pawn to queen. So a similar strategy here. So Wei Yi is holding his defenses, not taking this pawn. And now amazing. Rook h2. I mean, it's just hard to see this, right? Because aren't you supposed to block that pawn? But if you do, then you lose your pawn on a6 without getting to trade a pair of rooks. And now here, I mean, what? You play e1? You think you can eliminate this pawn? No. It's gonna take the other rook. Doesn't work. Actually, white is winning here. This was best. Rook c8. Rook e5. Shielding the king from this check. Probably king g8 had to be played here. Still try to bring the king over, but the young Wei, obviously not the happiest game for him. But he's gonna have to learn to avoid games like this and avoid situations like this. There are a lot of players out there, who possess a technique sufficient enough to cause problems for anybody if you give them a position like Wang Yue received in this game. And well, it all begins with the opening and some middle game. Well, in this game there was hardly any middle game. Some decisions have to be made. Now, I wouldn't say that Wei Yi is the kind of guy who can only win games by sacrificing a rook and driving the king all across the board. Well, the videos I made here, Russian Schoolboy, show his ability to play long games and uncanny, Magnus Carlsen-like games. But we will see. Now, this game certainly shows that there is work to be done. It concluded in a couple of moves. As the white king went through, nothing to be done. Now, threats against the black king would force black to trade one pair of rooks, otherwise he gets mated, and then white will simply queen the c-pawn. Well, this game turned the tournament around, and maybe if Wei Yi won that game, he would be +5 now. Instead, it's the old man, 27 years old, Wang Yue making his comeback. No, he did play well in the Olympiad and the World Team Championship, so maybe he is due for a comeback. Now, the Chinese players now, well, they have such a great team of players. And it's more than 6 of them. I think there's 8 guys there that are fairly close or above 2700. So they got the 2 participants of this game, Wang Yue and Wei Yi. There is Yu Yanyi. I talked a lot about his chess, so he's like 20 years old. There is still Wan Hao, and there is Bu Xianzhi, and there is Nihua, and then there is Li Chao, and Ding Liren is there. So that's already 8. One of the players in this tournament, he's not doing very well but in this event, but he's young and very talented. Played well in the Airfloat Open. Li Shanglei. Anyway. Now, if I look ahead, it's hard for me to predict what's gonna happen, but I see a little bit of a gap. There was this great generation of players born in the year 1990. So, obviously, start with Magnus Carlsen, then Maxim Vachier-Lagrave, and Sergei Karyakin. I think he'll make a comeback. He will retake the #1 position in Russian chess, probably. I think so. I think he still has the tools for that. Nepomniachtchi, I don't know, well, he hasn't been playing very well, but then again, well, who knows? Nakamura honestly didn't seem very impressive, a couple of years ago. And then he made a big step between the ages of 25 and 27. Oh yeah. So anyway, but now I'm kind of looking and where's this so Anish Giri? Well, but where are the teens? Well, nothing really, So well, we don't see a teenager anywhere in the world's chess aside of Wei Yi. I will try to do my own research on this, and I'm trying to understand. Maybe the talent has to be there. I think that may have something to do with the opportunities and all that, and I can't really blame top players for circling the wagons and protecting their interests. After all, it's just business, but they're not going to open their doors, and welcome the young talent that is going to take away their rating points. And they're not bad players still, but anyway, we'll see. This whole thing is cyclical, and so I hope you'll get to see more Chinese players playing in top-notch tournaments next year. Well, I would very much like to see it. Yeah. Okay, well, I can see that I have a lot of people there following, who have pretty handy command, of the Russian language, They throw a bunch of curses at me, or maybe at each other. I hope at each other, because why would they curse me? I don't know. Anyway, guys, so, well, thank you for your contribution. So, it's better than nothing, I really like to see people typing in this chat room, so go for it, go. In the meantime, well, this show's been going on for quite a long time, and I guess I'm done with my chess material for today. So, let me sign off, and I'll see you again next week. Maybe I'll do the recap of this tournament, because I think there are way more games in the Danzhou Chinese Super Tournament that deserve our attention. We will see about that. So in the meantime, we'll watch videos, play chess on ICC, and well, have fun. Have fun. Don't go. I gotta go. What do I think about Jabava? Seems like a nice guy, with, I know he had some, well, off the chessboard, I think he showed a lot of class, and honor, and his chess, you know it about as well as I do. Talent is there, but it doesn't really have the tools to gain 100 rating points. So no, he's 30 years old, but he was always good for an interesting game. Yeah. Alright, guys. So, thank you for all that, interesting comments here. They more came toward the end, So, well, next time, guys, this is gonna be on Thursday. Well, not every Thursday, but I'm doing like 2 Thursdays a month. And it's always at 5 p.m. ICC time. How about getting online at the start of this thing and helping me with the show? Well, I need your help. Okay, anyway, take care. That was a lot of fun. Bye.